welcome to day 11, everybody, of Poems with PJ. That's me, Paul Jenkins. Thank you so much to everybody who has been tuning in every day. And today I'm quite excited because something new to report to you. Yesterday, we obviously did our big broadcast, the same as we do every day, through Facebook Live. But lots of people got in contact with us and said, oh, we don't usually use Facebook very much. How can we get hold of it as well? Well, the good news is that now we're also on my YouTube channel as well. So as soon as we finish this live broadcast, we'll be taking the video and posting it on pauljenkinspoet, my YouTube page as well. So if you are out and about and you don't have Facebook, but you do have access to YouTube, you'll be able to look back all the way. At the moment, we've got everything from day 3 up till day 10, and we're going to get days 1 and 2 on there as well. So you can go back through all of the poems that we've had so far, and you can see our massive set all coming together day by day. So we're now on YouTube as well as on Facebook as well. So that means that we're growing and we're reaching more and more people. Now today, we've got a whole bunch of poems for you, and it's about getting out there and getting mucky and dirty. Because I know at the moment, we're going through a big phase, and everyone's going, oh, we've got to wash our hands all the time, got to wash our hands, and we keep talking about washing our hands, which is great. But if you remember, some of the best play that we ever did was getting mucky and sweaty and dirty, and that's one of the things that I think people have missed about being outside, because the weather's been quite nice, and some of you are lucky enough to have gardens, and some of you are lucky enough to be near the countryside, and some people have not been able to have that. So lots of people have been saying, you know what, that's what I miss. When I get back outside, I'm going to get as grubby as I possibly can. And that led me to write a brand new poem. And this one is all about a little girl, and she's just called Grubby Girl. I'm the grubby girl who lives on your street. Crumpled shirt, I'm never neat. A mountain of earth kept under my nails from digging and playing with slugs and with snails. If I was allowed to, I'd live in the dirt, with muck and with mud caked all over my skirt, climbing up trees and scuffing my shoes, a life spent exploring the one that I'd choose. A big cheesy grin as I splash through the streams. Look at my face, it just beams and it beams. Dust on my shoes and twigs in my hair. You think I look scruffy? Don't really care. I'm the grubby girl who lives up your way. I'm the scruffiest princess of outdoor play. So there you go. That one's called Grubby Girl. And of course I had to imagine that I was a young girl playing in the dirt and the muck and the mud and climbing up trees and having lots and lots of fun. And when I was doing that, I was having to use my imagination. And as you know, Thomas and I are writing a brand new book together. And what Thomas and I have done is that he's had a look at that poem and he's done his version of what he thinks Grubby Girl would look like. Okay, and that is his version of Grubby Girl. And you can see she's got a big grin on her face, and she's got a stripy top, lots of muck all over her clothes, and she's just literally rolling around in the mud. So that one, Grubby Girl, is going to go up there in our gallery, along with Thomas's other picture. And we've got another picture from one of you to go up on the wall later on as well. And I'll tell you a bit more about that in a few minutes. Now, you've noticed all the way through our last few days that every day we put one more thing up on our display to make our set look nice and bright and colourful. And today is no exception. But it's a little bit different today because all of these ones so far have been about poems that I've written. But today, our new toy is going to be this little soldier. Okay, now this little soldier is a very brave little soldier, and he has something called a busby on top of his head. A busby is what soldiers outside Buckingham Palace, these are the Queen's Guards, okay, and they have those on top of their heads. And every day they do something called changing of the guard outside of Buckingham Palace. And they've been doing this for hundreds of years. Now, when this next poem was written, it wasn't the Queen who lived in Buckingham Palace. It was her grandfather that lived in Buckingham Palace. And so this talks about the king being at Buckingham Palace. And it's actually a part poem and part song. And the reason I'm going to share it is because it was one of the first poetry songs I was ever taught. My mum used to read this to me all the time, but actually she used to sing it. So you're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to sing a bit of a song. And it's by A.A. Milne, who wrote all of the Winnie the Pooh stories, and in it, Christopher Robin goes to Buckingham Palace with Alice. Now, Alice is marrying one of the guards, and this is the song that is sung about that. They're changing guard at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice. Alice is marrying one of the guards. A soldier's life is terribly hard, says Alice. They're changing guards at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice. We saw a guard in a sentry box. One of the sergeants looks after his socks, says Alice. They're changing guard at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice. We looked for the king, but he never came. Will God take care of him all the same, says Alice. They're changing guard at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice. They've got big parties inside the grounds. I wouldn't be king for £100, says Alice. They're changing guard at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice. Her face looked out, but it wasn't the king's. He's much too busy assigning things, says Alice. They're changing guard at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice. Do you think the king knows all about me? Sure to, dear, but it's time for tea, says Alice. So there we go. And Christopher Robin probably went home with Alice and probably had a really nice tea. And that is a really old poem. It was written, I checked in the book. This poem was actually written in 1924, which was even older than me. Even I wasn't around in 1924. And so that's a really old poem. And it reminded me of this little soldier here. So this little soldier is going to join all of our animals and all of the other things, and the unicorn and the frying pan, all of those things up there on our little menagerie of people. And I'm going to put him right by the rainbow for the rest of the broadcast today. You right down there, sir? Good. He's a very quiet soldier. He doesn't say a lot. Now, this brings me on. Do you remember I said earlier that we were going to be sharing some of your poems and talking about getting mucky and dirty and getting out there and playing? Well, one of the people that got in contact with us today is really missing being outside. And just like me, I do in my spare time. I'm a runner. I'm a member of a running club. And I know that some of you have got mums and dads, or some of you might be members of running clubs as well. And this next person, Henry got in contact with us. Henry's 10 years old. And he is a fell runner. Now, if you don't know what a fell runner is not somebody who runs on the road in a race or runs on a track like you might see on the TV. A fell runner is somebody who runs over the tops of hills and does lots of cross-country and goes through forests and streams and all sorts of other things. And so he probably misses getting out there and getting mucky and dirty and running all at the same time. And this poem he sent to us is absolutely brilliant. It's called Oh, How I Miss the Fells. And you've got to imagine he's on the start line of a race. I shuffle to the start line, the feeling of excitement pumping through my veins. My heart starts pounding for the anticipation of the gun to fire. Bang! The colourful club vests start to disperse. I start to clamber up the rocky mountain, reaching for the top, crawling with my hands. The feeling of pain rushes through my legs. Oh, when will this stop? I catch my breath as my forehead sweats and the feeling of acceleration starts to begin. The clean, fresh air of the hills fills my lungs. The warm summer breeze flows through my hair. Each striking of the foot penetrates through my body, and the finishing tunnel comes into sight. The roars and the cheers push me on faster. Over the line I go, and I drop to the floor. Oh, how I miss the feeling of all this. Until we meet again on the sunny mornings of bliss. And so, Henry, I'm sure it won't be too long until you can get out there and start racing again, even start getting out there and start training again. I saw something online the other day of a man who wanted to run a marathon, but he couldn't run a marathon because all the marathons have been cancelled. So he ran a marathon in his back garden instead. He ran round and round in circles for about 5 or 6 hours, all round in circles, going round. Maybe you could try that. Maybe you can try that at home, Henry. Thank you so much for your poem. It really reminded me of how much I miss running at the moment, and I'm going to get out there as soon as I possibly can. Now, somebody else who got in contact with us was Isaac. And I mentioned earlier on, okay, that people had been sending in their pictures, not just Thomas sending in his pictures. Well, Isaac sent in this picture that he had drawn, which I think is a beautiful picture of a nice starry night and the moon. And the reason that the moon is really important in this poem is because it's a poem that Isaac wrote about looking up at the moon, because of course we're missing people at the moment and we can't really see everybody like we would want to. And so this one, it hasn't got a title other than just being called Together. Together we can all smile if we go the extra mile. I know it's hard not seeing family and friends, but this hard time will soon come to an end. So if you're feeling lonely, just look up at the moon. And remember, we'll all be together again very, really soon. And there we go. And that's why we can look up at the moon and we will be together again very soon. Good rhyming of moon and soon there, I think. That will also go up in our gallery. Thank you so much, Isaac. That's absolutely wonderful that you've managed to do that for us. And again, thank you so much for all of your pictures that you've sent in to us, all of your poems that you've sent in to us. Please do let your friends know, please let your families know that obviously we've shared this with you today. Share this broadcast with as many people as you can, because the more people that share it, the more people get to see it. And if you've got poems of your own that you want to share with us, and we've got some lined up for tomorrow, but we've got a few gaps as well, then you can send them to pauljenkinspoet@gmail.com, and I'll remind you of that at the end of the broadcast as well. Now, just to finish off, we've got one more poem, and I mentioned earlier on that Thomas and I have been writing a new book. Well, this is from Wibbly Wobbly Words, and it's one of my favourite poems from this book because it's got some made-up words in it. I love making up words. Making up words makes me feel fantastic because it makes you come up with, it means that somebody's got to go and rewrite a dictionary somewhere, because if everybody uses those words over and over and over again, then we have to come up and start using those new words. And the word that I came up with this one was bajillion. Because we have millions and we have trillions, so I decided we needed bajillions. Bajillions is a brand new word. And this poem is all about, if you wanted to borrow something from somebody, you would probably say something nice to them first. You might have noticed at home somebody probably saying, "You know what, you're really nice." And somebody else going, "Am I? Yeah, I think you're really nice. Oh, thank you for saying that. Could you put the kettle on?" That's probably what people say to each other. They say something really nice before they want them to do something for them. And so this one is all about imagining that you were sitting next to somebody in school. You're 1 in a million. You're 1 in a squillion. You're 1 in 100,000 bajillion. You're the best of the bestest, who beats all the restest. You're top of the list of the listiest guest list. You shine like the stars, and you shine like the sun, and you shine like a shiny thing shining for fun. I think you're the greatest in the whole of time. Can I borrow a pencil? I forgot mine. So there you go. That one's called 1 in a million. And remember, if you want somebody to do something for you, you're probably going to have to be really, really nice to them to start with. So there we go. That's all our poems for today. Thank you so much for watching and for sharing all of your poems, and all of you that have been watching at home and commenting. Thank you so much. It's really nice to hear from you. And the more comments we get on the page, obviously, the more chance we've got of finding out what you're doing at home as well. Maybe I can do poems about what you're doing with your days too. Please remember to send your poems to pauljenkinspoet@gmail.com, and we will be back with you tomorrow. See you soon.